Wow. All right. So 2.1, this is section 2.1. Question number 2. They're giving us this stem display thing. Again, the numbers there, remember what the stems and the leaves mean? Let me make it bigger for you. All right. So this is the numbers 11 and 16. These are the numbers 26, 28, and 28. These are the numbers 36 and 38. These are the numbers 45, 45, 46, and 48. And these are the numbers 50, 54, 54, 55, and 57, 63, and 64. Is that making sense on all that? So we're going to put all that data into our calculator. And so how do we do that? Do you remember the steps for putting all that into the calculator? So you first hit the, so on the TI, I'll put it over here. On the TI 83 or 84, same thing. Hit the stat button. And then, what is it? Then you're on the edit screen. And you hit, just enter, huh? Yeah. You'll be on the edit screen, just hit enter. And then go to the top of L1 and hit clear and enter. Is that what I said last time? And then the top of L2, same thing. Clear. Oh, no, you don't need L2. You don't need L2. My mistake. So you're basically just clearing out L1 to put fresh data in there. Just want to clear out whatever was in the table previously, you know?
It's not letting me do it.
And then you put the number that you have to hit clear.
So when I say top, I mean actually go all the way above the table onto the L1. Literally highlight the L1. Make sure your cursor is on the L1 and hit clear and enter. And it'll clear that table. And then you put the data down the L1 column. So put all those numbers, all these numbers down L1. And you have to hit enter with each one. Yeah, let me write that out for you. That's right, that was a problem last time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that now. It's all coming back. You have to hit 11, enter, 16, enter, 26, enter, etc. Right? You got to put all those numbers in there.
So we're just going down the list vertically. We're not going like 16. You're just going down the list. Like 11, 26, 35, 45, 15. Is that what we're putting in?
No, so I went 11, 16, so I didn't go.
Oh, I see. You're putting them in
any order. It really doesn't matter what order.
We can put them in horizontally.
You sure can. You sure can. Yeah. Is that good? So put all those in L1. And then when you've got them all in there, then you just hit stat. Is that right? Yeah. Stat. And, move over, do a right arrow over to calc, like the calc menu, and hit enter. So this is like, I should put numbers on these, huh? So step 1, stat. Step 2, go to the top L1 and clear everything out. Step 3, put in all the data. And step 4, hit stat, calc, enter, and then you just hit enter one more time, huh? Just hit enter twice, and you should get some. Numbers. And here's what I'm getting. It wants you to go down a little bit. You got to push the down arrow. And I'm getting min X, I think they call it min X 11, and Q1 28, median 45.5, 54. Okay, so these 5 numbers are the 5 numbers they're asking for. So when they ask for minimum, that's that first one, 11. They ask for Q1, that's the 28. I'll just move them over here. The 45.5, and I'll explain what all these are in a second. Let me get them copied down. 54 and 64. Okay.
I got medium 47.
So that means you entered a data point wrong. Yeah, so go back and check. These good? Y'all getting these 5 numbers? This is called the 5-number summary. And what it means, let me give you the feel of what this is. We just had a whole bunch of numbers, right? They started, remember, here they are back here. All these numbers that went from a low of 11, 11's the lowest number, to the highest number of 64, whole bunch of numbers in between. Well, what the 5-number summary is just that. 5 numbers to summarize all these numbers. What do we mean? The lowest of all the numbers is 11, minimum. Is that true? Is the lowest of all those numbers 11? Yeah. And then that's the minimum. And then the Q1, Q3, median. What those are, that's into the first quarter, midway, halfway, like halftime, like a basketball game or football game, and into the third quarter. So in other words, if you think about it like on a number line, the lowest of all the numbers is 11. 28 is the end of the first quarter. Halftime is the 45.5, the median. So this is Q1, this is the median, this is the minimum here. Then next comes Q3, which was 54, and then the 64 was the max. So what it did for us, it took all these numbers, I don't know how many there are, whatever, all these numbers, and it broke them into 4 quarters like a football game or a basketball game. In other words, 1/4 of all the numbers, the lowest quarter of all the numbers, are between 11 and 28. The next quarter of all the numbers are between 28 and 45.5. The third quarter is between 45.5 and 54, and the top quarter, the top 1/4 of all the numbers, is between 54 and 64. So it quarters your data. Does that make sense? It breaks your data into 4 even chunks. Tells you basically how the data is spread out. Remember what we're doing here in this chapter is figuring out good ways to summarize a whole bunch of numbers. So 5 numbers to tell you the story behind all those other numbers. You could even do it for like 10 million numbers. You could take all the SAT scores of every high schooler in America, and you could say, how did they all do? And you could summarize it with 5 numbers. You could say the lowest one, I'm just showing you why this tool is useful to people, why this statistics tool is helpful. If this was SAT scores, for example, and you could have however many SAT, 100,000 kids take the SAT, you could say the lowest quarter of all kids who took the SAT was between 11 and 28. Those aren't even the right numbers at all, but you get the idea. The next quarter, top quarter. It breaks all the numbers, even if there's like thousands and thousands of them, it breaks them into 4 equal chunks. Make sense? See how it's useful? So you have a feel for how all the numbers spread out. Like what's the middle? What's the very middle of all the numbers? 45.5. That's what that median is. The very middle of the whole. So half the numbers are below 45.5. Half the numbers are above 45.5. It's like halftime in a football basketball game, and then there's the first quarter mark, other quarter mark, and then the min and the max. Make sense what it's doing? They also call it a box plot, box and whiskers diagram or box plot. It'll go by those same names. That's in fact our second section today, 2.2, is box plots, which is, we really have already done it. So in other words, what you do is you just make a box that goes like that, and then you just stick a line down here, which some people call whiskers, box and whiskers diagram or box plot. It's just a visual way to say the same thing. I didn't calculate anything different, notice. I just drew a box in the middle and put whiskers out to the ends. That's the same thing. That, again, is showing that it's breaking your data down to 4 chunks. There's the same amount of data in each of those 4 chunks. It's quartering our data. Making sense? That good? That's the purpose of this tool. Here we go. So here's question 4. I skipped 3. I'm going to come back to 3. They want me to take all that data and make a frequency chart out of it. I don't think we've done this, have we? So how does a frequency chart work? Well, you can say they're saying use 85 to 89 for the first class, and then use the same width for all the other subsequent classes. So what will be the next class? So if the first one goes, they're just going to keep going up, 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 up. So the next one, so if this one goes from 85 to 89, the next one will start at 90. And how far will it go? How much is this adding? 4, huh? Right? 85 to 89 is adding 4. So it told me to keep the same width. So I'll just add 4 again, so that'll be 94. Does that make sense? And then the next class will start off at, 95. Add 4 to 99. Getting the pattern. Next class starts off at 100. Add 4. 104. That's a 4 there. Next class starts at 105. Add 4. 109. Next class starts at 110. Add 4. And next class starts at 115. Add 4. There we go. So now that we got the classes all set up, they want us to go back and go through the data set one entry at a time, and then just keep track of where the things go. So far, so good. Everybody see how I'm finding that? They gave me the first class, and I just go up by 1, add 4. Up by 1, add 4. Up by 1, add 4. So all these classes have a width of 4, and they cover all the numbers. Here we go. Let's start with the first number, 101. Which category? 101. Let's suppose these are just a bunch of data. Which one of these classes, categories, does the number 101 fall in?
114.
Yeah, this one right here. It's somewhere between 100 and 104. Right? 101 is between 100 and 104. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put like a tally mark here. You know like tallies? We just put little marks? You can do whatever you want. I'm just going to do a tally. I think maybe about the easiest thing. Next number, 113. Which category is that one in? It's between 110 and 114. Put a tally mark. So just keep going. Just keep circling these numbers and putting the tallies down below. And when you're all done, write the numbers. Does that make sense? It's a little tedious. Really, computers are made for this. But we'll do it by hand. So 88. Where's 88 go? Yeah, top category, right? 88's between 85 and 89. Boom. Next one, 106. That's this category. Next one, 100. So I'm just going to keep going. 112. 104. 109. 115. 94. Boy, this is tedious. They give me a big one here. 106. 101. And don't mess up. I hope I don't either. Let me know if you see me mess up. 109, 104, 111. It's down here, huh? 118, 114, 113, 106, 103, 111, 97, 94, 102, 102 again, 112, 115, 99, 107, 92, 112, 90, 97, 119, 103, 106. I'm sure there's a way we could just do this on our calculator. I don't think there is. 85, 116, 94, 102, 116, 106, 106 again, 101, 112, 93, 116, and 116. This is where you're supposed to look up and say, Mr. Turner, I missed that. Can you do that again? All right, so now we just count them, right? And hope we didn't miss any. So the first category has 2. Next category, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Yeah. This category, 3. This category, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This category, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 again. And what's the last one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 again. So if this was my test on the line, I would double check the adding to make sure it's 50. Because there's 50 total. See the 50 at the top? It's a 5 by 10 array. So do those add up to 50? I believe it does. So it looks like I didn't miss any. Does that make sense? Not too hard, but very tedious. So now, if you're good with that, we're going to turn that into a bar graph. How could we turn that in? Let me just do it kind of right here, and then we'll see the options on the next page. How could we turn that into a bar chart? So let me come down a little bit. You see what we're going to do? We're just going to start at 85 here and go to 89. So the first bar will come up. Well, here you can, of 2. This bar will come up to a height of 2. So the height of the bars is the frequency on the y-axis. Is this making sense? So I'm going to write frequency on this y-axis. The frequencies become the heights of the bars. So how many of the how many of the numbers are between 85 and 89? 2. So here, I should probably do a better job of this. Let me draw the frequencies better here for you. And I need to go up. What's the highest frequency? It looks like 11, right? So I go all the way 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I got to go all the way to 11. So now the first bar is only going up to 2. The next bar is going up to 7. Right? And that category went up to 94, didn't it? Let me pause there for a minute. Do you see what I'm doing? Is this making sense? So I'm taking the classes and I'm putting them down here on the x-axis. And I'm taking the frequencies and they are the y-axis. They're the heights. That's what a bar graph is. The frequencies are the y-axis. So the next bar, the 95 to 99 category, that goes, this next bar is going to go 95 to 99, comes to a height of 3. So right there at a height of 3. Etc. Well, I'll do one more. Next one, which goes out to 104. That one will come up to 11. That's the biggest bar, huh? I go dot, dot, dot. Let's go find the right multiple choice option. So you're not going to need to make these on the actual test. You'll just be grabbing the right multiple choice option. So let's go look for it. Do one of those look right?
Second one.
Yeah, this bar is at 2, and then higher up, then down, then really high. Yeah, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? How about, is one of these right? No, they're not even close, huh? Yeah, it's this one, isn't it? Everybody see how that's the same as what I'm getting here? Except theirs is colored in. Does that make sense? Want me to talk about that a little bit more? So see how I came up with these bars? Right, we just took all this data. So it's just a way of organizing all 50 numbers. We're just trying to say, hey, how big are all 50 numbers? Well, 2 of them are small, and then more here, and then most of them are between whatever that is, up to 104. right? It's just a way of representing all those numbers. That's what we're looking at in stats here. This is a much better picture. Now, you might wonder, honestly, I don't want to get into all the details because it doesn't really matter. But if you're interested, they're doing the 0.5 thing down here. Did you notice that? I'm not going to hold you to that. I don't care about that. I'm not going to test you on that. Don't worry about it. If you're interested, I'll explain. They're going from 84.5 to 89.5. The reason they're doing that is because see how this category ends at 89 and that one starts at 90? So what would you do with a number that's halfway between 89 and 90? If there could be those kind of numbers. There's not any in my data set. But what if there was a number like 89.5? Which category would it go in? So because of that, and again, I'm not going to test you on this or care about this at all. They just said, hey, let's go to 89.5, and then this block, and then the next one will go 89.5 to 94.5. Again, don't worry about that. It's just their way of covering all the numbers. And in my estimation, you're never going to make these. Computers make these. Real life, I want you just to be able to read them. That's what's valuable to you all coming out of this class. And so those 0.5 things don't matter. Do you see how this is the right bar graph for that data? Make sense on that? So what did we do? We took all this data and organized it first with a frequency. This is a frequency distribution right here. And then we turned it into a bar graph from there. All right, I'm going to move on. Now on question 5, we're completely changing gears. They want us to find a percentile. That's the major thing we're going to learn in this section is how do you find percentiles? What is a percentile? Notice the word down there. So first off, let me just give you the definition of what a percentile is. Percentile means percent below or to the left. Well, let me just... percent below or to the left. What are we talking about? So, I don't know if any of you are parents, but when you have a newborn baby boy or girl, you take when you have a baby, they right away tell you, the doctor tells you your baby's percentile weight and height. So let me give you that example. So if the doctor says your baby, the weight, your baby is at the, well here I'm changing how I'm going to write this. Your baby's weight is at the, 32 percentile. It's not exactly the same as percentage, almost. What exactly does that mean? If the doctor says your newborn baby, the baby's weight is at the 32 percentile, what that means is if you were to take all the babies from the smallest baby to the largest baby, and your baby would be about right here. 50% is in the middle, 50% of the way along is in the middle. Your baby's about right there, 32% along the way. That's what that means. Do you see why I said percent below? That means 32% of all the babies are lighter than your baby, less weight. That's what percentile means. It's a ranking system. If your baby's at the 87 percentile, then your baby's like up here. A big baby. And 87% of all babies weigh less than your baby. Does that make sense? So what's average? Let me do a little quiz, see if we're making sense. What would be an average baby weight? What percentile? 50 percentile, right in the middle, because half are lighter, half are heavier. You're completely average if you're 50 percentile. So they do it for weight and height when you have a baby. And then same thing when you go in for the 1-year checkup, 2-year checkup, 3-year checkup. They keep monitoring. Weight and height, weight and height, weight and height. Find out where you're at on the scale. So percentile then, remember, is percentage below. Percentage below. Does that make sense on that? You all good there? All right, so let's get back to the question. So there's a whole bunch of data. 107, that N is N will always be the total number of numbers. So N is the number of numbers. There's 117 numbers there. And they're saying, find the 92nd percentile. Find the 92nd percentile. Now, in general, what do they mean? Do you have a feel? Like notice the numbers go from the lowest number, and then they go across, don't they? See how they go from lowest, then they get bigger, 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 bigger. Next row, bigger, 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 etc., all the way to the biggest number in the lower right corner. See how they're already organized for us? This is the minimum number here, and this is the maximum number there. So this isn't just random data, it's in order, isn't it? That's important. We wouldn't want to put it in order ourselves. So those 117 numbers are in order for us. So when they ask us to find the 92nd percentile, I'll get to the specifics in a minute, but let's just gut level it right now. Is it going to be near the beginning, in the middle, near the end? Where generally is it going to be? Near the end, right? Because 92nd percentile, that's somewhere way down near the end that has 92% of the numbers before it and only 8% of the numbers after it, huh? That's the idea, right? You good with the idea? Because that's the main thing. You're probably not going to find these. Computers find these. But people will talk to you. If you have a professional job, people will talk to you using the word percentile, and they'll assume you understand what that means. So it's a ranking. All right. So now let me give you the formal method. Here's how it is. To find percentile. So it'll be here for y'all if you want to check back later. So again, it's P over 100 times N. Percentile is P. The N is always the total number of data values. And step 2, how did I say it? If the answer is a decimal, round up. And so, for example, 8.1 rounds up to 9. And then find the data value in that spot. Okay, so let's do it. So coming back here, so here we go. So what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to take P over 100 times, and why the 100? Because it's, percentage, right? Which is always per 100. So here we go. So what's the P? It's that 92, right? So 92 over 100 times, and what's the N here? Yeah, that's N is 117 numbers. So take your calculator, take 92 divided by 100 times 117. Is that what it is? Yes, indeed. 107.64. You getting that? And then what am I going to do with that number 107.64? Yeah, I should have done it over here where I got a little more room. P over 100 times N. So that's 92 over 100 times 117. That comes out 107.64. Round up 108. I'll get this out of the way here. So 108. So my answer's 108. No. That's an easy mistake to make because you feel like you're done after all that work, but you're not quite done. What do we have left to do? Why is that not the answer? We're almost there. One more step. What is it? Yeah, we have to now find, if I can just change the color for emphasis here. We have to find the 108th data value. So we have to somehow go down this list and find the 108th data value. That'll be our answer. So here we go. You ready? I'm going to find the 108th data value. This is the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, sixth one, seventh one, eighth one, ninth one, 10th one, 11th one, 12th. I'm not going to do it this way. I'm joking around, right? This would be terrible, right? How are we really going to find the 108th data value without wasting our life doing it? Yeah, you're just going to have a system of counting how many there are. How many across here? There's 9. Yeah, if you count them, and I would just count them with my fingers. 9 across. And so therefore, I would just maybe add 9. Just take my calculator and just add 9. There's 9 here. I'd just go plus 9, plus 9, plus 9. Probably it's one quick way. You can just multiply. Whatever you want to do. 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81, 90, 99. What comes next? 108? Oh, yeah. So this must be the 108th number. Boom, that was nice. Did you see what I did there? Was that confusing? I said there's 9 numbers in the first row, and I just kept adding 9. And so the last number in this row is the 108th number, isn't it? Just kept adding 9. So that worked out. So the answer then is not the 108, it's 44.7. You see, and it looks like it, doesn't it? Doesn't this number look like it's 90-something% of the way through the data set? It's almost to the end of the data set. It makes sense that that's the 92nd percentile. I mean, roughly, right? That looks roughly right. Is that good? Is that making good sense? Questions I can answer? All right. Okay, so try that one. See if you can find the P74, the 74th percentile. Okay. So always start with the formula. P over 100 times N. What's the P? I mean, on this particular question, what is the P? 74. Right? The P is 74. So pop in a 74 right there. And then what's the N? See how I wrote up what N is here? N, total number of values, huh? That'll be like all semester long. N, they'll always use N. It'll always be the total number of numbers. You can count on that. So how many total numbers do we have here? Well, I've got a 4 by 5 array. So that's 20 numbers, huh? 4 times 5? Some of you, as I was going around, you'll like have a blank here, or maybe 2 blanks or something, huh? On some of the questions, or maybe those are the ones to come. Maybe you guys are ahead, I don't know. If there's 1 or 2 missing, then you'd have to subtract. There'd only be 19 or 18 numbers, right? But we have 20. So I'm going to plug in right here, 20. So then what do we get? It's going to be 74 over 100 times 20. Hit the buttons on your calculator. I'm getting 14.8. So that's step 1. Step 1 says use that formula. Right, going back to the steps here. I'm going to be writing out steps for everything we do, and it'll help you just to use those steps. So step 1 is use that formula. Step 2 says if your answer is a decimal, round it up. So I'm going to round up to 15, and then find the data value in that spot. So the answer is not 15, it's the 15th number. That thing's a pointer. They call it a locator. It's a locator. Go find the 15th data value. So what's the 15th number in the list? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There it is. That's the 15th. So the answer is, as you all said, 75. Good? Questions on that? Is it making sense? All right, so here's number 9. Let's do one more, and then we'll move on. So try that one. I'll do quick. So P over 100 times N. The P on mine anyway is 64. 64 over 100 times N. How many data values are here? Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5 by 7, 35, but there's 4 missing. So 35 minus 4, 31 data values. Multiply that in your calculator. I'm getting 19.084. Round up. 20th data value. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 7,100. The 20th data value. All right, let's do this one. Now, this one, they're giving me a data set, And they're telling me to find the 25th, 50th, and 75th percentiles. So I can do like 3 of these percentile calculations. Any ideas on how we could not do all that work and do something easier? If I say, if my wife says to me, hey, if I'm watching a football game or basketball game, and my wife says, hey, how far of the way through the game are you? And I said, hey, I'm a quarter of the way through the game. What percentage of the game is over? 25% of the way through the game is the same thing as being at the end of the first quarter, isn't it? What if I say to my wife, honey, I'm 50% of the way. The game's 50% over. Where are we at? Halftime, the middle, the median value. If I say, hey, honey, the game is 75% of the way over. Where am I? End of the third quarter. Remember how we just learned to find these? Let me do a flashback, literally. I'll flash back. Look there. Q1, median, Q3. We did it about an hour ago. How'd we do it? How'd we get those? Have you already forgotten? It's this whole process. Yeah. Now, you can do it the other way if you want. Do the P formula for each of them. That'll work too. But it'll be way easier to just put these in your calculator. So when they're asking for 25%, 50, and 75, that's the end of the first quarter, halftime, and into the third quarter. That's part of the 5-number summary. Your calculator will give you that automatically, silver platter. Just type it into L1. So in other words, just do what we did in the beginning of the section. Just hit Stat, and then you're on the Edit menu, remember? And then hit Enter. Go to the top of L1, hit Clear and Enter. So you clear out the old data list that you had in L1. And then you just put, so that's all step 1. It's all step 1. And then step 2, put the data in L1. Put all these numbers down L1. Does that make sense? Doesn't matter what order. Just put all those numbers down L1. And then when you're done, step 3, hit Stat again. Go over to Calc and hit Enter twice. And you'll get all the numbers you want. You'll get the Q1, the median, and the Q3. Let's do it. Here's what I got. I got Q1 equals 34, median 54, Q3 80. Is that good? Y'all able to get that? So remember, if they ask you 25, 50, or 75, you don't have to do the whole P over 100 times N formula. You can just use the stat buttons on our calculator, which breaks the data into 4 equal chunks, right? That's first quarter, halftime, third quarter.
So basically, you're just putting all that information into the L1.
That's right. Just all those numbers in L1. Exactly. Just put all those numbers in L1, and then let the calculator do the work for you. Now, I never finished the rest of the instructions because we really didn't need to, unless you try to do this one here by hand without using your calculator. I mean, without putting all the data into your L1. So let me go back just to be thorough. Remember over here? So step 3. If the answer is a whole number.
I love that you put it on YouTube. It saved my life all day.
Then grab.
The average of those is the answer?
Yeah, the average of those two is the answer, exactly. Then grab the data value in that spot. And the next data value. So we're actually coming away with 2 data values and then averaging them. Add them and divide by 2.